Friends, colleagues and listeners, here we are again. Got a guest who's appeared once before, and it's somebody that I've grown to know a lot better. I've got a lot of respect for what he's done, and the person I'm talking about is Liam Bolger, probably known as Mr. Luton Airport. 36 years in aviation. Liam, it's great to have you on board again.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks for inviting me. Second time round can't be bad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now, Liam, obviously you're known as L. Bolger Airport Ops Advisory Limited. So if you just want to give us, and everybody else that's listening, just a little bit of an insight into what's happened, what you're doing now, and then I've got a few other questions for you thereafter.
Yeah, I made the decision to retire from Luton, and I don't know about you, but it's a very strange thing when all that happens, and you're left kind of there thinking this is a great idea, but when it actually comes into the reality of it, you think, well, what now?
Yeah.
And I felt very much like that, and I think although I've gathered up a few years, I think you're looking at the same windows you were 40 years ago.
Yep.
I don't feel any different.
I know.
And so it didn't take me long to discover that probably retirement's not for me, but I think the move was right. I think to go and do something else now is what I needed more than anything. So I was probably looking more for change than retirement, probably.
Yeah.
And I took that leap, and then I had a few weeks off. I took my lovely wife to Ireland.
Yeah.
Where she got to experience horizontal rain day after day. Wasn't my best move ever, I have to say, but we had a good time driving around and having a look around. And I came back and I said, you know what, I'm not going to be sitting indoors. So
yeah,
and you can only go to the gym so often. So
exactly,
and you spend all those years gathering up a lot of experience, and when you sit down and start to put it on paper, what you've kind of covered, you think that's it's going to take somebody a long time to gather that same amount of experience.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because there's a lot of learning in that, and that's the thing about learning, usually the experience comes before the learning. So you cover most of the mistakes on your way through, and I think, the opportunity to share that, and I've been doing that quite a lot, at airports from across the world, come and see me at Luton, about stuff that we were doing and things we'd done, from equipment pooling to safety management, all of the good stuff that we were getting noticed for. Yeah. We had airports coming to see us about that, and it was great to share that. So I think my future now lies somewhere in that, sharing what I know. And more than that, I think, because I think sharing what you know is one thing. The talk's great, but I've actually walked the talk.
Yes.
And that's what I want to share. Yeah. I'm interested in people that want to do something, not talk about it. There's no box ticking here.
And I think, I know you use the word share a lot there, but I think it's give. And I think a lot of people have got a lot of experience, and they think that just by talking about it passes it on. But if you actually give somebody something to give them, you're giving them a solution, you're giving them an alternative way of thinking, you're giving them the understanding of what change really means. If you really love passing that on so that somebody else doesn't make the same mistakes that you did, or they're able to recover things quicker because of the understanding that you can give to them, I think that's a lovely thing to do, and it's so enjoyable.
And that's where the pleasure is in for me. And I've always liked that. I've always liked airports coming along, so I could do that. I think the struggle that they had was going back and actually doing it.
Yes.
So around the table that people are all hyped up, but you check in on them a month later and say, how are you getting on?
Yeah, it was too big a bite to chew.
We're trying to get discussions going, and I said, it's about leadership, and I think that's for me the challenge for a lot of people, and perhaps it's easier to have somebody that you can put in front of your team who's done it.
Yep.
And show that there's leadership there.
Yeah, and give a different perspective. And I think everybody talks about youngsters and all different segments of society, and they say you need more of this, you need more. Of course you do. It's like a family. The bigger the family, I'm same as you, Irish background. The bigger the family, the more variety you get, the more difference of opinions, the better it is. However, I do think the way things are going at the moment, there's a lot more expectation on people managing situations that crop up instead of leading others through those situations so that they're able to deal with it themselves.
And I think that's
those
right.
Are the things
and I think they get challenged with all these different opinions, and then they get stuck.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, my father used to say, the camel was a horse designed by a committee. Too many opinions, you know. Yeah. And I think that's right. You know, if you take a car, it's got one steering wheel, there's a good reason for that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a good analogy for anything that you do. There has to be a leader.
Yeah.
Somebody has to say in the end, here's what it is.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. And as long as what you're doing is to the benefit or to the greater good, then who's going to argue with that?
Yeah.
And you know, I think that was the success that I had, was that everything I did, I genuinely did it for the greater good. It wasn't going to serve just me.
Yeah.
Well, it was serving me in a way, but it wasn't going to make my life a whole lot better. But if everybody's life was better.
Yeah. No, and we'll come to that in a minute, because I want to hit on a few of the highlights. But one thing you said there about you can only spend so much time in the gym.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me the other day, another guy, I used to play football years ago, he said, as you get older, he said, things sort of change with meaning. And he said when he was growing up, he always called the toilet the gym, the John.
The John, yeah.
So he's now changed it to the gym.
Oh,
because he said when people say to him, what we do, he said, well, you know, I'm at least 4 or 5 times a day in the gym. He said it makes him think a lot differently about what he's actually doing.
Yeah.
But keeping in, I mean, I'm saying some people turn around and say, well, why don't you knock it on the head? But I enjoy it, and the thing I enjoy most is seeing people get an opportunity to see something differently and be better than they ever thought they could be, and that's what I think keeps you going.
And that was it for me, you know. Built a great team at Luton, you know, a fantastic team, and those people are doing stuff that they never thought they would.
Yeah, no, I met quite a few of your guys, because we came down there several times.
And you know, they didn't get there, you know, you had to jimmy them along sometimes, but they got it.
But when they get there and you see what they can do, it's a wonderful. That's all the satisfaction you need.
Yeah, and you see it, and then you know we were doing these annual staff surveys.
Yeah.
And it's just great to see the feedback in that.
Yeah.
Is it all 100% positive? No, because you're the boss at the end, and you're going to make decisions that not everybody agrees with, but somebody's got to make them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But as long as it serves the greater good.
No, I agree with you.
You know.
So right now, 36 years, long time.
Yeah.
So for those who are listening, we're not going to go through every single one of the years, but what I just want to do is cherry pick some of your most rewarding and, shall we say, surprising memories, and also some of the most challenging.
Yeah.
So if we start first with the most challenging.
The most challenging, yeah. There's quite a few in that, but I think in aviation, what I always said to the guys, we don't have bad days, you know, we have character building days. And in aviation, you get quite a few of them, you know.
I like that. Yeah.
There's a notice right up as you would have went into where myself and the team are housed at the airport. And as you went in the door, that's what it says, you know, you're entering the positive attitude area. We don't have bad days with character building.
I love that. And it's a state of mind as well, isn't it? If you can get into people's hearts and minds, then you're going to start changing the culture.
Yeah. So quite a lot of character building days and moments, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, most of them were about probably me, especially, you know, when you lead a big team, are you doing it right? You know, are you getting this thing right? And taking opportunities. You know, one of the biggest hurdles I would say I had to get over was, you know, I left school at 15. I trained as a motor vehicle engineer. That's what I trained at. I served my time at that. And then I came to the UK, and I ended up in airports just by chance, really.
Like most of us, yeah.
Yeah. I started there in 89 as a barrow pusher. So they were built in a brand new baggage sortation area, and all the bags had to be taken from check-in out to a temporary dock on barrows.
Yeah.
And I did that. And that was very, very fortunate to get in there, because if you remember 89, the whole economy just ended up in the tank.
Yeah.
I had just bought a house I had moved into in 88, September 88, and I could have bought the same house before the end of 89 for half the price. It was a tough time for everybody.
It was.
But I got into the airport, got made permanent in November of 89, and you know what? Kept my house, never looked back. Yeah. Interest rates went to 15.5%.
Yeah, I remember that as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
a lot of people threw keys back and stuff like that. I never hung on. And I wouldn't be a quitter, I would say, is that, you know, even though it made probably perfect sense to people to throw the keys back, but, you know, the mortgage company's got a hang of that too, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they sold their houses off for next to nothing and then went after them for the balance.
Yeah, exactly.
So it didn't work out very well for people, but the airport was great that way. So I have a great affinity to it because it did help me a lot. So and in that, and then again in my personal development. So really my first opportunity, I think, in leadership was in '92, where I became a leading hand on the baggage stock because nobody else wanted it. Everybody hated the baggage stock because it was going all the time. Where upstairs, if you're out loading aircraft, you know, you did a couple of hours work, pretty intense. Then
Next one.
Yeah, just wait for the next wave to come, you know, so it was a lot easier than being on the baggage stock where you were kind of going continuously. So I took that, and then we were the first airport designated to do AAA, baggage reconciliation.
Yeah.
So you'll remember that, you know, the whole baggage screening.
Yeah.
And this was coming down the road, and I was a leading hand on the baggage stock, and everybody was saying, oh, we're just going to need a ton of people, and it's going to be a nightmare. And I said, well, let's test that theory. And way before anybody was doing it, we were the first airport to do it. The engineers that were working on, I didn't even have a computer at that time. You know, we had a thing for just putting in the flights, but, you know, I wasn't doing memos and emails and stuff like that at that time. But the guys that were doing it, we had electric vehicles. It was unbelievable. All of our baggage vehicles were all electric. W&Es, you know, the milk floats.
Yeah, no, I know. I'd say, and the ones with some of them had the handle.
That's right.
A gear, like a little bit of bent pipe almost.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we had all of them back at that time. You know, it's funny how things go full circle.
Yeah.
But we loaded them in rows of 15. So I just got a sheet of A4 and I drew up the way we loaded a vehicle, because what you had to do was be able to tell in the aircraft approximately where that bag was. Yeah. That was the whole idea of AAA. So if you had to get a bag off quickly, you had to know where it was. So I hand drew this sheet and tested it, and we stacked everything in rows of 15, so columns of 15. Yeah. And then I got the barcode people, and I said, can you make the barcode so that there's a perforated end on it that we can take off quickly, leave us a little sticky lip so we can just put it in the back of our hand as we're stacking the bags, and then go up and put them on the sheet. And then we just put a number to the side of the barcode.
1 to 15.
Whatever it was, you know, we were 1 to 99. Yeah. A couple of tricks for that, you know, you didn't want to be doing 66 and 99 the same time.
Exactly.
You know, things that you learned on the way through. But bearing in mind at that time, you know, everybody was thinking this was going to be awful. That cost us $0. Yeah. A4. Yeah. Printed A4 is what it cost us. So every flight, what, a penny? A penny a flight, maybe? Yeah. For A4 printed? Yeah. And we did that, and the very first flight that we did was a Ryanair. Now, bearing in mind, the industry average at the time for mishandled baggage was 1 in 250, and I think it's the exact same today. I don't think it's changed. Even for all the gizmos they have, if you look it up, it still says 1 in 250. I don't know why, but this is the industry average for bags mishandled. I don't know what ours was at the time, because nobody ever tried it. Yeah. But we ended up at 1 in 7,000.
1 in 7,000?
Yeah. And that was because we had people there that were committed, understood what was needed. So it was all possible, and this was all no scanners. There's still no scanners at Luton. All them bingo sheets that everybody's still using on the manual stuff, that's where it started. The bingo cards started in Luton, basically. We called it a baggage manifest, and then it got kind of down to a bingo sheet, but that's where it started. So pretty much getting that through, you know, that was probably, you asked me about the lowlights, that's probably a highlight, but you know, behind all of that, you were learning, and I think that was, for me, the biggest challenge was that, you know, when 96 came along, they said, we're not going to be involved with baggage anymore as an airport, and we're getting out of it in 99. End of 99, you know, the last day of 99, we won't be. Yeah. We'll be swapping over, it's going to ground handling. Because we couldn't compete, to be honest, and we couldn't because we were too expensive. Yeah. Compared to what the market was like, we were just way too expensive. And I was stood there thinking, what am I qualified for? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I had been doing some stuff at the trade union at that time as well, and they were great. You know, it was the Transport and General Workers Union, and I was a shop steward. You know, and they took me down to North London University, and put me on a course there and stuff like that. But I wouldn't do the coursework, Chris, because I was just afraid. It was difficult because I didn't think I was smart enough to be doing that. And that was just honest, you know.
Yeah.
And I was afraid of the challenge of it, but I knew I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I probably wasn't bright, but you know, you're just afraid when you're afraid, and you don't want people to see that you know, spelling and stuff like that would have been awful at that time. You know, and I'm in my 30s. You know, I'm talking about this because this was a challenge, and then. I did that. I did the course in North London. I stayed the whole course. I just didn't do the coursework. So I didn't get the certificate for it or anything, but I loved it, you know, and I participated and I took a lot of good stuff away.
Why did you not do the course? Just through fear?
Fear. Oh, of course, fear. You know, everybody's got fears, haven't they? Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible word as well. Just the way you're being so open and saying it, because, I mean, if you look back now, you think to yourself, God, blimey, why didn't I do the coursework?
Well, exactly that. You know, it wasn't that I wasn't capable, but you know, if you don't believe you're capable, then
you put your own barriers up.
You put your own barriers up, don't you? Yeah. And you know, great life lesson for me, and I was very fortunate. You know, then I knew I had to do something. So in '97, so this came '96. So by '97, fear and pain are the things that drive you, right?
Yeah.
And pleasure. You know, pleasure will also drive you to do things. But, you know, I had enough pain and fear about what the future was going to do, so I signed myself up to a supervisory management course in Barnfield College in Luton. And I met a great guy there, Joe Beckett. He was the tutor. Don't know what happened, Joe, in the end. You know, I don't know if he's still around, I doubt it. But he was great, and he was great with me because I got into that course. And on the day of the first assignment, I waited till everybody cleared out after the class. And I had no trouble participating in the class, but I walked up to Joe and I said, do you mind if I don't do the coursework? You know, so I was playing the same old record again, right? Yeah. So, and he asked me why not. And I told him, honestly, you know, I didn't think that I could do it. I didn't even have a computer, you know, so it was, and I bought one after that, but he said, tell you what, he said, he says, you do it, and he said, I'll take a look at it, and if it's shit, I won't ask you to do any more.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah.
Because he says, I've got to read it. He was a little Scotch fellow, Joe, and he had been head of HR at BT at the time they went through that massive change.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And he told me a great story about that, I'll tell you that again, but he gave me that opportunity, and whether it was good enough or not, I did what he said, and I gave it to him, and he came back to me and he said, can you correct that and correct that, take it away? And I said, yeah, will do. Took it away, corrected it, brought it back to him, and he gave me a merit.
That's great, isn't it?
And everyone after that, a distinction. And he used to laugh because he'd give us an assignment of 500 words. And he used to always say, Liam, why say it in a few words when a novel will suffice? Because I'd do 2,000 words, you know. Yeah. Once I get into it, I was gone, you know, and I started to really love it. And I stayed in Barnfield. I actually did that year with him. I did 2 years HNC.
Yeah.
And I got Student of the Year for that. So I left Barnfield Student of the Year and went on to university.
Oh, fair play, yeah. And all because he extended that support.
And you know what? Wasn't that a great thing to happen to you in your career? Because that taught you that the influence that you can have
on somebody's life, yeah.
Very powerful. You know,
in the workplace, yeah.
Yeah, it was. And in the workplace, very important, you know. So in the workplace for me, it was, you know, I pushed people because the one thing I understood very clearly was we're way more capable than we believe we are.
Yeah, and others sometimes fence you in.
Absolutely.
And if you're able to get out of that, and it has such a big impact on so many things other than just your work.
Yeah.
And if they feel that somebody cares about them, then hopefully they'll care about other people as well.
Yeah, and then, you know, I took it on myself to do some personal development stuff, you know, and life coaching as well. I did some of that, you know, and all of that was paid for by me.
Yeah.
You know, and I got no time off for it. So it was all shift swaps and leave
yeah.
to go and do it and make a difference. And it was challenging. Even people don't anybody that goes through university and does their degree and stuff like that, I do admire them, because when you're given an assignment and you've got to sit in front of that PC, there's days you don't know whether to laugh or cry because nothing comes out.
Yeah.
And when I was doing these courses, and went to university, do you know the one regret that I have is that I didn't enjoy it as much as I could have.
Yeah.
Because you need to have a certain amount of resilience. You need to believe in yourself first.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I did down the road with my team, all of my leadership team. I gifted them resilience coaching.
Yep.
That's what I did.
Yep.
Because it was the most important thing for them.
Yeah, and I think that is so important now, more than any time.
Oh, absolutely. And the change in them, I'll tell you how profound it was. I started with one group, the airport manager, and I said, I'm going to gift you this, guys. This is a present. You do what you want with it. This is for you. Nobody can ever take it back. So you go do it. The change in those guys was so profound that I went and did it myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't intending to do it.
Yeah.
But the change when they came back.
You thought, I'm going to have a bit of this, see what it's like.
Yeah, and I wish I had learned that earlier, because I had kind of lived through it myself. So, but I knew that when you were I knew from my own experience, when you're trying to learn, but you don't have the confidence in yourself. It makes learning, you're working against yourself.
Yeah. And it's a shame, isn't it? But that's also a reason why I think you're going to do what you're doing. You want to give back, because having taken that long and learning those lessons, and like they say, don't they, wisdom is wasted on the old and youth is wasted on the young. So if you're able to bridge that little bit and let people speed up a little bit when they're younger, then with their energy and their engagement and enthusiasm, and now with technology and everything, they can do so much.
Absolutely can. And there's nothing worse than, one of the things, even in my department, no negative talk.
Yeah.
Was not allowed.
And people who do that,
they kill
I think they're just killing other people silently and slowly. And anybody that's negative, and I'll tell you what I do now, right? When you meet people and somebody comes, you say, how's it going? And you're upbeat, right? And you're an old bugger, like, And these youngsters have got all their life ahead of them, and some of them go, and the attitude, I think attitude and behaviour is more important than capability and competence.
I never, do you know what? One of my team, Carolyn Madden, she did all the recruitment names because she got it. She got what I wanted. I didn't want people with the skills. I wanted people with the attitude.
Yeah, you can teach skills. You can't teach good attitude.
So my team do the airside coaching.
Yeah,
because it's all peak.
Yeah.
So we do it in the morning and we do it last thing at night.
Yeah.
So what? If you have coach drivers, there's nothing for them during the day then.
Yeah.
But no, we do it as part of what we do. I haven't employed one coach driver.
Yeah.
I've employed people with the right attitude, because it'd be very hard for me to take on a coach driver that's used to driving a coach.
Yeah.
And skill them up and everything else.
Yeah.
Because that's not what they're used to.
Yeah.
But to take people that are not afraid of work and skill them up is much easier.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. No, that's good. Obviously, something that's synonymous with Luton was the car park fire.
Yeah.
So that must have been.
That was a very, very challenging time for everybody. But you know what? Brilliantly executed. Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that for me that came out of Luton was that there was a time in winter ops when we were awful, and so was everybody else.
Yeah.
The whole industry was awful. Nobody invested in it. Nobody saw it as a problem. We weren't set up to deal with crisis.
Yeah.
Not well. All reactive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And something went wrong.
Yeah.
And one of our greatest things was that when things did go wrong, we all pulled together.
Yeah.
But what we didn't do was plan it better for not to go wrong. And I started to do that in my role. I started to do that early on. Having an emergency operations centre.
Yeah.
Setting all that up. A good guy, Nick Orwin, worked on the team. We set that up and we brought people in that could show us how to set one up.
Yep.
Even if we lost all of our premises, we could go to a hotel room and set up an emergency operations, mobile.
Yep.
So you could do it anytime, anywhere. And we just got good at this stuff, and we started to get better and better at it.
Yeah.
And when that car, and we did it through winter ops, I only got involved in winter ops because I hated it so much. Because if you were the senior manager on duty in winter ops, it was heartbreaking, and it was slow, and it was awful, and you were letting people down the whole time. I thought, that's how I felt about it. And everybody then that put on a high-vis jacket had a great opinion about weather. They knew everything you need to know, except how to clear snow.
Exactly.
And that was a challenge. But yeah, by the time we got to the car park fire, that happened at 9 o'clock at night. 3 o'clock the next day, we're up and running.
I know, that was amazing, because the location of the car park, in normal circumstances, would have normally, or one would have expected, caused havoc for the actual operation.
Well, it was backing on to 10 aircraft stands, so that's where it was. And it was our drop-off area. And we were busy, so it was just awful at the time. Because all of those things had to be figured out. But when you've got good people around you, and we had a very good construction firm in Rybridge, who just got things going on that night and into that first day. Just everything was
just to make it safe and secure.
Safe and secure, and get cars moving, because bearing in mind we had 2 car parks, so that was car park 2. Well, car park 1 still had cars in it, that was unaffected. But now we couldn't get them out. So we had to knock out a hole in the car park and put in a ramp and make a brand new entrance into that car park on that same day.
Amazing.
On day one.
Amazing.
On day one. And that's, having clever people around and stuff like that, but staying calm. When it's all going wrong, your best bet at that time is not to work from the knees.
Exactly, isn't it?
You got to work from your head.
Take a beat, chill out.
Take a beat.
But the most important thing is, when you take a beat and you chill out and you stay calm, is if you still haven't prepared, or you haven't gone through a simulation or worst case scenario, or paid attention to risk registers, etc., that's a disadvantage. And so it's such a shame when you see people only saying, I wish we could have, should have, would have. Do it now. Do it now, because as true as anybody says, on a worst case scenario situation where you've got your senior management team, you go and say, right, what's the top 3 worst scenarios that could happen? They will happen. And the biggest killer for them, if you don't practice these things, is you stay locked on the problem. We were in solution mode after the shock, I would guess, after the first couple of hours, watching this thing happening, and it's in your head, and there's a shock to that. But after that, you're in solution mode. That's happened. You can't walk that back. No, exactly.
There's only one way now, and it's forward. And I think once you've got that mindset, and that's those things that you say, that's what they're there for. A lot of people look at that and go, oh, do we have to? What you're doing is you're creating a road forward. You're not holding yourself back.
No, and now you look at for all the advancements and for all the good things that happen with the good people and great people that make it happen, there's still people who are doing bad things. So you look at all this hacking now and cyber security, and God forbid, it isn't going to get better unless people get better and certain legislation comes in. But the lessons learned from that, you've got to prepare yourself. And if you don't prepare yourself, you're going to get one hell of a blooming shock at one time or another. And that's what I don't understand. So many senior managers and managers, they've got to focus. It's business, turnover, money. Are we doing this? Are we doing that? They're so busy being busy, they're not busy being better. And if you don't give people the insight into what you should do if things go wrong, so that straight away, muscle memory, boom, go on, we know what to do, or certain people know what to do in certain situations, it's going to be a terrible thing.
And these things, they start in a small way, and it's about being, I think about being prepared, or certainly it's about being
identifying
aware.
When it's going wrong.
It's about awareness, isn't it? It's about seeing that when it starts to go. Because if you look at cyber stuff, that started with your home computer. Hackers sent you an email. Before it got industrial, it's at an industrial scale now. But that started off, getting your home computer locked up because you opened an attachment, and then they were demanding money from you to unlock your computer and stuff like that. And I'm sure some people paid it, I don't know, but I remember it happened to me. I never paid it. I brought it to a computer expert, said, can you unlock it?
No, it's a crazy thing. Now, just on that, as an outcome to it, what was done to prevent that from happening again?
Well, that's
what lessons were learnt from that particular exercise?
There was a lot of lessons learned, but everybody jumped on the sprinkler thing, which is fair enough. Yeah. But there was a whole environmental end to that nobody was thinking about.
Yeah.
I mean, millions of litres of water had to be cleaned.
Yeah.
Millions of litres.
Yeah.
It wasn't a small undertaking. So there was a lot of stuff, because everything that came off them cars, where was it going to go?
Yeah, exactly.
It's going into the water course.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was a huge cost.
So the filtering and everything else, and
there was a huge cost to that. So how prepared are you to contain that?
Exactly.
And those type of things, get thrown up. So can you contain it? Can you contain those volumes of water that's going to be used to wash those cars down? And remember, there was electric vehicles in there. It didn't start, contrary to popular opinion.
That's what everybody was saying. There was electric vehicles up the top.
Yeah. It was a diesel, and it was kind of in the middle floor, and the wind was whipping through, and it was like within 9 or 10 minutes there was 10 cars on fire.
Yeah.
Because the wind whips through the floors.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of talk about sprinklers.
And how did they find out how that diesel started? The fire started?
No, I don't think ever. I don't think we ever got to the bottom of that. But it wasn't uncommon for them to do that.
Yeah.
So more common than electric car fires.
Yeah.
But the difference I think you have with both is once an electric goes,
it goes big time.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to struggle to put it out.
Yeah.
It's going to have to burn out.
Yeah.
That's kind of like,
yeah.
You're going to use a lot of media to try and it just keeps reigniting.
Yeah. Well, what I'd like to ask you now is, all right. So it's lovely to hear what you're doing and what you're doing moving forward, and I'm sure you're going to be in great demand, especially from people who want to decide how do you turn an airport into a community? How do you make everybody want to be part of that community instead of their own, siloed company, etc. So what I'd love to do is have another session with you where we talk about, specifically an airport. What would you do if you were starting a brand new airport? So if you're okay with that, Liam, we'll do another little session on that. So thanks very much for sharing. And most of all, thanks for being so honest about the fear, because, a lot of people don't talk about it.
Nah.
And that was good. That was good. And and by the way, what did you do your degree in?
It was in business management.
Oh, nice one.
So, yeah, it was really interesting that you get over all of that. If I was to do that again, and it was helpful for the team then when I was putting that team together to know that actually and I left it a bit late, to be fair. But I think one of the best things that I did was the resilience coaching with people, because and I gifted that to them. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't. Look, it paid back, and I started doing that just before COVID.
Yeah, I am. Well, there you go. What incredible
and
time.
did you see the airport mentioned in any of the press?
No. They
it was tough.
Everything well, yeah.
It was tough. It was tough, but we were prepared.
Yeah.
And the thing that you're talking about, community, that's the other thing, because we also had the Luton Safety Culture Stack going. 2017 we started that, and that was about community. And so I'm very happy to talk about that, because that's very close to my heart as well, is that, who's delivering your brand here?
That's the thing. And who associates with it, because that magnifies.
And in a backhanded way, when you talk to guys that work for ground handling, say, that have worked at the airport for longer than I have, they see that airport very much as theirs.
Yeah.
But are they treat it that way? Well, we did a very interesting exercise. We were doing a leadership development program, and we took on things to look at. And my thing was, it's disgraceful the way that ground handling's housed at airports. Awful.
Yeah.
We ended up, the exec were great about this, and it was one of the great things they did. We ended up, I was after 250 grand to go in and tidy up their accommodation and make it look better for them.
Yeah.
Well, we went one better and built them brand new accommodation. We spent about 3.4 million on ground handling accommodation, so that they could have a better place to work from. Yeah. Because how can they deliver something well for you?
No, I agree. And even these days now, Liam, you go to some of the big brands, and the canteens, toilets, offices, they just look as if they've been neglected for so long.
Yeah.
And people go in there every day, and what they see is that, that that damage and lack of infrastructure and even a lick of paint.
And the mindset, is always, well, they won't appreciate it and they'll just wreck it anyway.
No.
Well, no, they won't.
No.
Yeah, they will if you let them.
Yeah.
If you're not bothered to go after that and deliver the right message, if you don't have any leadership, when there's no leadership, all these things happen, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Liam, I agree.
And we did that, so it was great.
Right, what we'll do, we'll take a close now, but we'll come back and we'll talk about what would you do if you had a magic wand to create the airport of choice.
Good.
All right, thanks very much. Appreciate it.